Okay guys, I'm back with a new, quick theory that's been floating around in my head since a little after A Winter Nights Lazzo came out. If you haven't seen it, the link is in the description. The theory doesn't have a lot going for it yet, but it makes so much sense to me as it is now that I wanted to share it. And that is that the secret identity of Il Capitano is none other than the legendary Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius Arundolyn. Now, some of you may be asking, who in Teyvat is Arundolyn? And others may say, it's been like 500 years. But that age has never stopped anyone before. And I have at least a few other reasons to back up my hypothesis. But first, some of Mondstadt's intriguing history. According to the Braveheart artifact set, some years before the Cataclysm, a young boy named Arundolyn and his best friend Rostam had dreams of becoming great heroes someday. And although Arundolyn was from a long line of knights and Rostam was but a peasant boy, they grew to become inseparable friends. This Rostam grew to become the Wolf Pup Knight, the right hand of his best friend Grand Master Arundolyn, the Lion of Light. He invented and taught Favonius bladework to the knights under his friend's command, mentored the White Knight, whose unparalleled sense of justice led him to become the Bloodstained Knight, and was the sweetheart of Rosalind Kruzka Loefalter, also known as La Signora. Now, when the events of the Cataclysm began to unfold, the Grand Master and his Wolf Knight organized and led an expedition to meet the monsters head-on and fight them back, including Durin. And let it be noted here that with every clue that we come across of the account of the devastation of the battle against the darkness, none have offered evidence of anything so great as Durin being deployed against any other nation. What I'm trying to say here is that the most powerful creature that Gold's forces had on their side, the legendary Durin, only second in perfection to Albedo himself, was sent to Mondstadt. It seems to suggest Mondstadt posed more of a threat in the war than seems capable, and obviously, Conria still holds a grudge against them in specific if Kaya's original purpose in Mondstadt is to be considered. I would go so far as to say that the full might of all the Knights of Favonius, mainly their elite forces with their Titan Knight of Boreas, Varka, are the most powerful military force in Teyvat, or at least on par with the Fatui. But anyway, the battle was understandably devastating, and we all know that Rostam died. Arundolyn was devastated, as Rosalind was, and he laid down both his title and weapons and left the battlefield in the middle of the fight, and was never seen again. No one knows how, when, or most importantly, if he died. Now, this seems like a weak connection at first, but there is more. Arundolyn was the only Grand Master without a vision. Yet, at the same time, he was known as one of the strongest humans on the continent, with his preferred fighting style being to dual-wield both a longsword and a claymore at once. This style of combat was so hard to master that when he disappeared, it fizzled away completely. He was, without a doubt, legendary in battle. Remind you of anyone else? Allow me to summarize the connections here. Il Capitano stands for the captain, right? Perhaps Capitano was a chief, or captain, or perhaps a grandmaster in his past. Capitano is also known to be legendary in battle. We're talking world-renowned type of fighter. Capitano also seems to be associated with La Signora more closely than just as a colleague. He referred to her by her Mondstadt name and noted that her actions tarnished her honor. Which leads me to another point, which is that he seems to value honor, even going so far as to have a civil, truthful conversation with Varka. And my last point would be that he would not be the first person to both survive through the ages by some unknown means, only to be picked up by the Fatui, nor would he be the first to have grown bitterly disgruntled with the state of the world and become seemingly heretical because of it. In fact, he wouldn't be the first to have done so because of Rostam, who must have been a wonderful guy to have his girlfriend, protege, and best friend all lose their minds or else completely abandon their ideals over his death. Rest in peace, Rostam. As I said, this theory doesn't have a lot to go on, but it feels like the beginning of something, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, as for the theory that's circulating about him being the Bloodstained Knight, it shares a lot of common veins with this. I actually subscribed to it for a bit at first, but there is one key reason why I can't fully get behind it, and it's that we know that the Bloodstained Knight died. And although the Fatui seem to have a panache from recruiting weirdly old, or shouldn't be alive folks, they don't have anyone that we know yet that is strictly undead. So that's my take on what's going on here. It would be really cool if it proved true, because the stories of what happened in Mondstadt's past have always intrigued me. If perhaps you'd like to hear the story of Arundolyn, Rostam, and Rosalind, told from the artifacts and weapons in a story-like manner, I invite you to check out the link in the description for Storytime with the Unlikely Genshin Gamer, and have a listen if you like. More thematic narrations of the stories of other characters will be incoming. Please like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Until next time.